Welcome to United We Spay, the show dedicated to promoting affordable spay-neuter services nationwide. Each episode delves into the heart of the movement, sharing inspiring stories and driving positive change. Our goal is to raise awareness, educate, and empower, addressing overpopulation's root causes to ensure every animal has a chance for a better life. Hosted by Stacy and the United Spay Alliance team, we're on a mission to change lives. Fed up with the fixation on symptoms in the animal welfare conversation, it's time to change the narrative. Join us on United We Spay, where we make a difference by spreading knowledge and building a compassionate world for animals. Let's put prevention first and spotlight spay-neuter in the animal welfare space.
You are listening to United We Spay, a podcast from the United Spay Alliance. The United Spay Alliance works to promote accessible, affordable, and timely spay-neuter services because an ounce of prevention today can prevent untold suffering tomorrow. Spay-neuter. It's public health for pets. I am Stacy LeBaron, on the United Spay Alliance board member, and I am host of this show. And today on United We Spay, we are talking with Pat Chan. Pat is a trailblazing retired financial planner who made history as the first female and Panamanian division chief for the Panama Canal Commission. Born and raised in Panama, Pat's love for animals began at a young age, and she felt a deep connection with them through their eyes. Despite facing numerous obstacles as a woman in a male-dominated field, Pat worked tirelessly to achieve her goals and become a respected leader in her profession. In 2001, Pat sponsored two veterinarians to attend an animal conference in Costa Rica, where she met Esther Meckler, the director of Spay USA at the time. Meckler planted the seed to establish a Spay Panama, which has since spayed or neutered over 320,000 animals. Pat's unwavering dedication to animal welfare has not gone unnoticed. In 2010, she was awarded the prestigious Animal Welfare Hero Award by the Humane Society of the United States. She's also been recognized by the Panamanian government for her contributions to animal welfare. And in 2017, she was awarded the Hero for Panama Award. Despite the challenges she has faced, Pat remains committed to her cause. She firmly believes that education is key to changing attitudes towards animals in Panama and hopes to continue to make a positive difference in the lives of animals in her country. So I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
So before we get started finding out more about your incredible program, how did you go from being a financial planner to such an incredible spay-neuter advocate? How did you find that passion?
Well, the passion was there. But when I met Esther Meckler and she suggested that I start a Spay Panama, to tell you the truth, Stacy, I almost choked and fell off my chair because it was never in my plans to shift my work life. But then I started thinking, and it became a reality that something had to be done to make a permanent change in Panama. And that's why I decided to quit my job and start full-time with the Spay and Neuter program.
So how did it start out? I mean, you certainly didn't start out doing thousands and thousands of animals.
No.
And there's so many people who come to me and come to us at United Spay Alliance and they go, well, I can't start something like this. I've rescued a few cats, maybe helped a dog or two. I can't start a spay-neuter program. Do you believe that anybody could start a spay-neuter program?
At our level, no. Our first day of operation, we'll never forget it, 6 cats. And the operating table was my washing machine. So you start by making contact with a vet that understands what's the problem and several volunteers that understand why it's important to trap feral cats. And that's how you get started, little by little.
And so from your perspective, that's what happened to you. Tell me sort of about the lifespan of Spay Panama. What was your growth trajectory like, and how do you measure your success?
And never in my wildest dream did I think the Spay Panama would reach the level that we have achieved to date. But it's because people understood, and then we had more vets, more volunteers joining, and we had several chapters formed throughout the Republic of Panama. that started the spay and neuter program. As for measuring our success or the effectiveness of our work, we had a survey done by a group in England that counted the roaming dogs, and that unfortunately had to stop in 2020 because of the pandemic. But it gave us a good feel as to how our work was impacting the feral population.
And that was a visual count of free roaming dogs, or yes.
Yeah.
So
they set up several routes, and our volunteers and vets would go out early morning and count the dogs.
So I know in Washington, D.C., there was a research project called the D.C. Cat Count, which had cameras set up at a variety of different feeding stations and areas trying to identify the volume of community cats out in Washington, D.C., and trying to use that as some metrics for calculating how many free roaming cats you might have in your community based on the demographic info. So trying to overlay my dream from the community cat side, and you deal with dogs too, but is, creating some sort of a calculator so we can predict, just to get a target, to just say, is it 10,000? Is it 100,000? Just to understand what our strategic capacity building could be. Now, you sound like you're very strategic and very organized. You referenced chapters. What is a chapter?
A chapter is a community that believes that spay and neuter is the way to go. So we sign an agreement saying that you will follow the principles of Spay Panama to offer spay and neuter at a low cost and as massive as you can. So we have 4 chapters in Panama. One near the border of Costa Rica, Spay Chiriquí. One in the beach area, Spay Pedasi. One in the mountains that is called Spay Cocle. And one in the rural area that is called Spay Chitre. We can't be in every single place. And that's why it's important to create chapters and let them handle the situation in their communities.
Do you provide operational guidelines or guidance or mentoring to help these chapters be successful?
Yes, we open our doors. Our center in Panama City is open for them to send volunteers, vets to be trained. And they stay with us. We offer them free lodging and meals, and they stay with us a minimum of 1 to 2 weeks, trying to learn everything.
That's a busy 1 or 2 weeks, I would think, for sure.
Yes.
My understanding is at Spay Panama, you have very large spay neuter events. Tell me what a typical Spay Panama event would look like for you right now.
Okay, we have one coming up in October with Spay Chitre, and the chapter is the one that organizes, make the agenda of all the animals, and we hope to do 700 animals. We have 10 vets that have signed up for the day. We have about 50 volunteers. Never have a shortage on volunteers because they all know that the community will benefit and they will benefit, and the animals more so.
So that's for cats and dogs, and it can be owned or free roaming. Yes?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And we have an old bus. We have a 32-year-old bus where we load all the supplies and the staff, and we go throughout the Republic. But we can't use the bus as a mobile clinic. So we set up operations in a church or in a playground.
And that is over several days. You'll do the 700 animals?
The one in Chitre will be a 2-day spay event.
Do you require that the feral cats be in traps, or how do you receive the animals?
Okay, feral cats, they come in traps. And if a community needs that we loan them traps, we will. But they are supposed to come pick them up and return them clean to us. As for bringing in their cats, a lot of the rural area and poor families, they do not have kennels. So we tell them, put them inside a cotton pillowcase and tie a knot on top so the cat doesn't stick out their head. So So there's a lot of pillowcases coming in at our spay events.
Wow. And then with dogs, are there any particular challenges around the dogs that you spay or neuter?
Okay, that depends on the community. They're supposed to trap their dogs. Now, if they need help with one of those poles to catch dogs or we call it a blow dart, we can also lend them those.
In Panama, is there anything like animal control, or who do you work with? Volunteers in the community?
With volunteers in Panama, unfortunately, there's no animal control. But in a sense, Stacy, I say thank God there's no animal control.
Right. Because you never know. You don't know how animal control is going to respond. And I believe what you're thinking too. Sometimes if you are asking your municipality to solve a problem, they may not solve it the way you want it to be solved. So there is a level of being very careful when it comes to publicly funded events or coordinated within the public space, because some other, I don't know, ulterior motives might come into play. With that, I just would like to ask the question though, are you publicly funded at all, or is it all through private donations?
As it is right now, through private donation. Before the pandemic, we had the support of the government, but it was only mainly in the Panama City, in the District of Panama. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, so many things changed, and we lost the support of the government.
So, yeah, tell me, how have things been for your organization over the last several years on the funding side, on the spay neuter, the veterinary capacity side? What have been your challenges, say, over the last 4 years?
Okay, thank God that for Spay Panama, we have not had a shortage of veterinarians willing to participate in the program. So we haven't experienced what many spay programs in the United States have gone through. In regards to the funding, again, because of the pandemic, a lot has dried up. But Spay Panama has always viewed grants and donations as a nice gravy, but we don't rely on those 100% because we know that the work has to continue no matter what. So we try to be as best as self-sustainable that we can.
So with that, you must have some revenue generated from these spay neuter events?
Yes, because we ask for the community and for people that can make a donation to give something for the spay and neuter. We are not inclined to offer free spay and neuters. If a person comes in and really they don't have any funds, we ask them, okay, go pick up 10 pieces of garbage or help us clean the instrument and so forth, because they have to feel participant of the effort that we're doing.
Right. I would agree with you from that standpoint. Oftentimes here in the States, if we have free campaigns, there's no money in the game. And so the appointment, they don't show up, right? And that destroys your whole business model. So even if it is $25, we will require a prepay or something to that effect to ensure that they feel that they need to utilize that service because they've already put some resources in. So, but it is challenging because I understand for some people, transportation is tough. Getting off of work is tough. I don't know if your events are on the weekends or during the weekdays, but if people are working 5 days a week, 6 days a week, it can be really challenging to find the time to get your animal, to the vet for sure. But it sounds like you have a large volunteer team. What do your volunteers do for Spay Panama?
Oh, they trap. They help prepare the animals for spay and neuter. They carry the animals to the operating table, carry it from the operating table to the post-op station, and the volunteers there will deworm, put flea and tick medication, clean their ears, make sure that everything is okay before handing over the animal to the owner or to the rescuer. In regards to what you just mentioned about prepayment, we don't require prepayment. They just show up. Let's say, for example, they only have $1, and we say it's fine, but can you help us? clean the place, make sure that everything is clean. And most of them will say, yes, no problem.
Right.
And then it makes me laugh because we had a spay event on September 12th. And we always say, you can pay us in vegetables and plants, whatever, except live chickens or whatever meat that is not welcome. And Stacy, we got 30 pumpkins. So we had baked pumpkin, boiled pumpkin, roasted pumpkin for weeks.
Right. Well, and that is like you are the community doctor for the animals, right? And the community is saying thank you in the way that they can for the support that you are providing for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that. And you are very event focused. So it's a coming together of the community. There's a synergy, there's an energy. It's not like you're doing 10 animals a day. You're doing one big focused event. You're bringing all that energy into one place. When you first started Spay Panama, did you think of this as being a model that would work, or did you envision that it might be something else, like more of the spay 10 or 20 a day and just sort of be open all the time?
Well, since we only had 2 vets at the beginning, I really thought that it was going to be not more than 25 a day. But something happened in 2006. A doctor and I, we went to visit Spay Memphis. And there they showed us the method of the quick spay method. And we said, boy, we have to send a vet here to be trained. And they said, well, the training is done by Dr. Isis Johnson Brown, but she is very busy and she is very costly. I said, give me her email. So I wrote to her, and lo and behold, Stacy, she was raised in Panama.
Oh.
And she agreed to come to Panama to teach us the quick spay method. So her coming to Panama was the one that made a change in our working process. From there on, the spay and neuter rocketed. Now we do about 2,000 to 3,000 a month. We not only spay in those weekend off-site spay events, but we have a center in Panama City, and it's open 6 days a week. And we do about 150 to 50 animals a day with 4 vets.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. Absolutely. Absolutely amazing. And your volume, it stays the same there. How far? Well, so maybe you don't, do you do appointments, or do people just show up?
No, we do appointments. We try to do appointments. That is something that changed also with the pandemic. Before the pandemic, it was you come, you form the line, and first come, first served. But with the pandemic, it was necessary to control the crowds, to give everybody time for them to show up. So we schedule the 30 animals within each hour. And that's how we do our scheduling.
And how far out are you booking out?
For a day?
For appointments, yeah.
About a week.
About a week, yeah. So in the States, in some parts of the country, it's 6 months out, 3 months out. There are certain parts of the United States where it's just, they say spay neuter appointments are like gold.
I can't do that because here in Panama, people will forget. So we do it one week in advance.
1 week in advance. Okay. And do you send reminders? Do you text them?
Yes. And for those, there's an extension of Chrome that you can send massive chats using WhatsApp. And it's so convenient.
Great idea through there. Do you not have a very bad no-show rate?
No, not so much. Not so much. I think the no-show is about 20%.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Before my organization our mobile spay neuter clinic that we started, we had before prepay, it was 15% no-show. And then now it's like 1% no-show with the prepay.
Good.
So, and we did it just out of revenue necessity, to be honest, because it's a mobile clinic and can only do, 20 to 25 cats a day. So I know many people, when they first start their clinics out, a lot of their questions revolve around, always making the most of every appointment. You don't want to lose that potential capacity for spay neuter because there is such a shortage, all around the country and also in parts of the world. If you had to give a tip to one person who is interested in starting some sort of a spay neuter initiative in their community, what would be your first tip? Obviously, Esther, she gave you something that got you motivated. What would be the spark that you would send to the next person?
I would tell the person not to lose faith, that believe in the cause, and do it one step at a time. And there are a lot of groups out there that are willing to help and work together so that they can shorten the learning curve. And Spay Panama is open to anybody that wants to come down to Panama, and we will work with them.
Wonderful. Excellent. If folks are interested in finding out more about Spay Panama, is there a website or Facebook page? How would they do that?
Okay, yes, we have our website, www.spaypanama.org, and you can click on Spay USA, and it'll take you to the English website. And we're also in social media, in X, before Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and Threads as Spay Panama.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Don't lose faith. It can be done.
Pat, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And I want to thank our listeners for tuning in today. If you liked this episode, be sure to share and subscribe. We'll be releasing a new episode each month, digging into an important conversation surrounding spay neuter throughout the U.S. and around the world. For more resources about spay neuter and learn more about our work at United Spay Alliance, that is United, S-P-A-Y, alliance.org. Get in touch with us anytime by emailing info@unitedspayalliance.org. Until next time.